Hi, everyone. My name is Reba Bell. I am an author and I am the host of the Breakthrough Podcast. And you are listening to The Real Conversation with Sheeta and Nikki. I am today's featured guest, and now let's get into it.
Welcome to season 2 premiere of Real Conversations with Sheeta and
Nikki.
And y'all, today we are excited to welcome today's guest, Miss Reba Bell. She is an accomplished author of not one but 2 books, y'all. The first book is called A Blessing in Disguise and From Ashes to Beauty.
Yes, Reba is a domestic violence survivor. She is also a coach helping other domestic violence survivors, as well as the host of the Breakthrough Podcast. We are pleased to welcome Miss Reba to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. We is excited because I feel like this is really gonna be like such a good interview that's gonna just help everyone.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a lot of big things out here, and I'm excited about that.
Thank
So
you.
can you let our listeners know a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so like she said, I am Reba Bell. Currently, I am author of the 2 books that she named. A Blessing in Disguise. If you want to know, they look like this. This first one, and then you have From Ashes to Beauty, the second one. Pretty much the first one is about my journey about domestic violence and how I survived domestic violence, and it's pretty much a self-help book on anybody that have survived domestic violence and how I survived it, and its guides and teachings. The second one is actually a personal one for me because it's actually funny. I wrote this book first before I wrote that one, but I released that one first, and it was just something that God presented to happen. I wrote this book during the pandemic because God placed it upon my heart to actually tell my personal story. Now, this is my own autobiography, all the way up until from baby until now. So it's stories about my personal life, people that I met in my journey on how God changed my life. And pretty much when, like I said, when I did that one, I placed it on hold because I ended up going through a writing program and a writing coach. And she said, "You have a story to tell. And I think you should talk about your domestic violence experience." And I'm sitting there like, oh, wow. So, of course, it hit me hard because, of course, the research that I was doing at that time about so many people that had to stay with their partners, abusers during the pandemic because we had shut down. So of course it hit me hard, like, okay, maybe this is what I need to talk about first before I tell my own personal autobiography and story. So that's what the books are about.
Yeah, because you don't even think about that. Like the pandemic has really affected people, especially people that are in those situations, domestic violence situations. So now they're kind of, I mean, they probably already felt stuck, but now it's like everything is shut down. They have nowhere else to go. So, Reba, you brought that book out at the right time because I'm sure it really encouraged a lot of people, at that time where they really felt stuck.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Like that's the one thing I always said, I let the Lord lead my steps. Before I was that person where I'm gonna just do whatever I want to do, but now I just kind of sit still and I wait for God to be like, it's that inner voice within inside, and what is the right thing to do and when to do it. So that's beautiful.
That's funny you said that because even when she said it, and I think I was like going through the interview process, I think I literally only put like a little snippet, and she let the Holy Spirit use her. I don't even I really did only put a little snippet. It was like, tell you about yourself. And so when I put on the little process of tell me about myself, I've been through domestic violence, but I just told about my life. It wasn't about just domestic violence, and she had grasped that and said, "That's it. That's it. That's what you need to talk about." And so when she did say it, I started crying. And I ended up immediately calling my husband because he knew I was still writing this book. And he was like, "That's confirmation." And I was just like, it is. It was. It was just like, and I just started crying, like, okay, God, if this is what you want me to talk about, this is what I'm going to talk about. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yes. So, with you writing the books, you had assistance from your coach. She kind of gave you like guidance, like what to put in the books and what order and things like that.
Yeah. So what I did was is a book writing coach. She pretty much did the she guided us on how to write a self-help book or whatever, and then it's pretty much you put your heart and your feelings in it, and it became easier. So it was just like, okay, at first I took the class like I already wrote a book because I had that one written, and it was just like I know what I'm doing, right? And it's like she made us scratch everything that we thought about writing a personal self-help book on what it's supposed to be about and the viewpoints. And so in the class, it actually was ministering to me because she was saying, I would never forget this. She said, you writing this book, it's going to be hard because it's going to be things that's going to come out in your personal life at the same time that happens, and you're going to reveal stuff and things going to get revealed to you. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know. But if she wasn't more true, she was saying that if our personal life wasn't together, that the book wouldn't be able to come about. And I'm telling you, it got to the last minute. I literally wasn't going to release this book. I ended up finding out while I was writing a book that instead of my abuser, which was my son's father, be my first abuser, I ended up realizing it was my mom in writing this book. And that hurt, yes, because at that time, me and my mom was really going through a bad relationship. And I was just like, how am I writing about this? And this get done to me. And that's how the revelation came. So I I went into therapy. I started therapy around this time I was writing this book. And I ended up getting healing. And me and my mother have a great relationship now that people wouldn't believe it because we had a really bad relationship. We really wasn't we was at odds. But this book actually and me hearing that and acknowledging, okay, you can help somebody else going through the same thing you're going through, but you can't technically help someone else if you're not getting healing in the process of going through what you're going through. Because I tell everybody, just because I wrote this book don't mean I'm perfect. I always said that. It don't mean that I got it all together. That does not mean that I still don't go through things personally. It just means that I learned from my what I learned, and I want to help somebody else to get to where I didn't know. And so that was the revelation of that.
Wow, that's deep. So can you share a little bit, like in your book, a little bit of each book, like kind of about the domestic violence that you went through? Like, how does this really start for some individuals? What are some signs that they can look for?
Okay, well, domestic violence, I tell people all the time, please don't just think it's just physical. Because my mother wasn't physically abusive to me, she was verbally and emotionally abusive to me. Okay. So it's never just physical, and we think of it as just always just being a man on top of a woman or a man doing, but it could be vice versa. I know personal stories in my own family that is women abusers to men, and it's men out here that do not hit their wives or their girlfriends. Okay, so what I would say first of all is that I talk about a lot of addressing your childhood and addressing your ACEs, and it's something else that it's adverse childhood trauma. And so a lot of times when we go through situations, we're repeating, like we know about generational curses. We're repeating either what we saw, we're repeating what was done to us, or trying to stop something that we saw that wasn't done to us. I mean, or something done to someone else. So when we talk about recognizing the signs, some of the signs we know are verbal disrespect, isolation, talking back, trying to separate you from your family.
Yeah.
Some of those known signs, but there are also other signs. There's other signs like I just want to be by myself signs, that I don't want to have any friends signs.
Yeah.
And that's part of isolation, but it also is a part of the abuser. Sometimes we talk about the abuser signs, but we don't talk about the person that's getting abused. Because a lot of times, when I was getting abused, my family didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? So I kept it from my family at that time because I was so ashamed of it. And like I said, me and my mother didn't have a good relationship, so I couldn't go talk to her like, "Oh, I'm getting slapped up."
Right.
Me learning and knowing she went through the same thing as a child, and she went through the same thing as an adult. And I heard the stories. I never seen it though, but I heard the stories about how our daddies did what they did to her. And so, of course, at that time, I was just like, okay, she went through this. I can get through this too. But when we talk about signs, I want people to understand that it's just not physical. It is verbal. It is emotional. It is a young lady or a young man that just don't want to talk about the issues and that's depressed. It is mental illness a lot of times. It is the person that is the abuser can be depressed and not happy with their own lives.
Right.
So it's so many that we can address. It's just I try to keep telling people that it's just not physical because a lot of people think it's just a punch in the face. Yes, I endured all of it. Okay, the punch in the faces and the verbal and the mental. So when we talk about healing in itself, when I talk about healing in itself, I talk about the person in their childhood and how whatever they seen and how they address what they're doing as a adult. Because what I realize is that we're just big kids, and so when we grow up and we're learning stuff, it's a learned behavior, and so what we're teaching our kids is a learned behavior. Okay, because mama dealt with it, or mama went through it, or dad went through it. I can do it too, and I can go through it too, instead of making it a generational, stopping that generational curse and becoming a generational blessing, and saying, okay, just because I went through that, I don't ever want my kids to go through domestic violence ever. So me educating them now on, yes, y'all mommy went through it, and them understanding y'all don't have to go through what I went through. A lot of times we don't do that. So
yes. Oh, that's a whole word right there. That's a whole, and I know that this is really going to help someone, when they listen to this, to know that there are people that went through this and you can overcome this. Yes.
And I deal with a lot of ladies that mostly I deal with ladies. I'm open to men too, but mostly I deal with ladies because they're ashamed. They think that it's something that they've done. They think that it's something they could have prevented. The only prevention for abuse is not being in it. It really is. It really is. And sometimes, like you said, with the signs, if you see something in the beginning you don't like, address it, talk about it. Okay, all they calling and because we take the little things and then think it's not abuse. I'm popping up at your house. Oh, that's so sweet. He just popped up. I'm calling you 20 times a day. Oh, that's so sweet. He really thinking about me. I need you to address it if you feel like it's something wrong. Because those little things add up to different things. Because it could do with the pop it up, and then it could do with, I thought you was at home. Where you at? I'm at your house. It's like I deal with all that. It's like we think it's like, okay, we're just dating. And when you're dating, you're in this whole phase or whatever. We talk about the cycle, the abuse cycle, where you go through the honeymoon phase and then you go through the another phase of, okay, we're together, and then you go through the abuse. And then it's like the honeymoon stage all over again. Okay, I love him, and then the abuse. It's like I said, it's a cycle. But the best prevention for me will be to address the signs in the beginning, what you don't want, what you don't feel comfortable with talking about. in the dating phase or whatever. It's like, I don't like that. Don't call me 20,000 times. No, don't talk to me
Right.
like that. Even with a voice getting raised. I remember, if I could talk about real quick, when I was dating my husband, and when he used to raise his voice, I'm like, guard me was up. Like, you raise your voice, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because you ain't gonna get a chance to hit me before I hit you. Because you get what I'm saying, by me being abused in past situations.
Yeah.
It was certain things I was just like, it was a trigger. Who you talk to? You know, instead of me dealing with it in a positive way, like, I don't like to talk to me like that. Like that. I went black girl rah rah. You know, and it's like, I end up turning out to be the abuser at the beginning of my relationship with my husband. Because it was just like, okay, what are you doing? Calm down, girl.
Right.
He just says, I mean, you know, so it is ways that you can configure it and realize, not saying it's your fault. But like I said, that's why you got to go into therapy. I really believe in therapy heavily. I do. Whatever kind of therapy you want to get it. I don't recommend a certain kind. I have done spiritual therapy. I've done regular therapy. Right now I'm in American therapy, and it's so beautiful. I love it. You know, and I'm a Christian and I believe in God. I'm just in regular therapy, and that's fine. And we talk about God, we talk about everything, but I recommend anybody that feel like if they in a traumatic situation or have been through a traumatic situation, whether it's in their childhood or now, to get the help that you need, because all you're doing is going into another relationship and bleeding on other people.
Yeah. I agree with that, definitely. So many people don't want to get therapy, especially in the Black community.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
It's frowned upon, like, you know, you don't need that. You don't need, you know, but you know, we do need that. I'm glad that as time is progressing, that it's being addressed more in the Black community. Like, it's okay to sit down and talk to somebody, you know, not just your girlfriends, but somebody that got a couple letters behind their name. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I know on your Instagram page, as far as like your coaching, you mentioned about transforming your mindset. Can you tell us some ways that, you know, are helpful tips that you've used to kind of help you transform your mindset? Because I know it's mental, it's physical, you know. So can you tell us a little bit of some helpful tips for our listeners that kind of helped you in transforming your mindset?
Okay, so transforming your mindset is an everyday process. It's not something that happens overnight. Let's just say that first.
Right.
Then when I still do it. So what I do, I'll just give you an example of what I do every day. Every day when I get up, because like I said, I'm a Christian, I have a relationship with God. I literally, and I have my son doing it now too. We listen to affirmations. I listen to different podcasts that's going to actually help me, or whatever other podcasts that's going to help me grow. Of course, you know, the first thing I do, I pray. And anything that I talk about with transforming, meaning where are you at right now? Because we know we all not waking up saying, oh, it's just a glorious morning, it's going to be a great day. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with everything that we have to deal with in this world, whether we're going to work or dealing with the kids or anything. Transforming your mindset is meaning, okay, you're going to take that moment and say, okay, and this moment is this moment. But I could transform it to be something else. I could transform it to think happy thoughts. I could meditate. I meditate. It works for me. And I, you know, spiritual meditation or whatever, but because it's different forms of meditation. And when you say meditation, people go crazy and start thinking something else. But I say personally for me, my meditation is actually reading my word and really thinking about what God wants for my life. One of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11. He only wants the best of us. That's basically what the scripture is talking about. I only want good for you. Okay. So if you're going to transform your mindset from the time that I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they can get out of a situation. I still love him. I still love her. Transforming your mindset could mean that, yes, you can love them, but do you love yourself more? I
Yeah.
talked about this on the live the other day. It's love month. It's love week. And I talk about loving yourself. If you love yourself and truly love yourself, which will allow that to keep on happening to you.
Yeah.
So you transform your mind to say, this is about me and not about nobody else. Regardless if I love them, I can love them from a distance, and I can love myself more to know what my value and what I
Right.
offer and what I bring to the table. So that's
Mhm.
part of transforming your mindset. Basically, thinking positive, know that you come first, loving on yourself. And also, another thing I talk about is the boundaries that we have with our friends and families.
Yeah, boundaries is important.
It's a
Yes.
number one, like
Yeah.
one of my biggest ones that I talk about in my coaching, because a lot of times we don't have boundaries with our friends and family. I didn't, and that's what I realized. I talk about boundaries in chapter. It's a chapter in this book called Boundaries. Um, and that helps because it helps you get to a point where this is about me, and I don't have to have everybody else's opinion in it. Okay, it goes back to the loving thing.
Yeah.
So the part of transforming your mindset is I'm setting my boundaries of what I want out of my life. We don't have boundaries in our relationships. We just let anything go. And it's like you have to have boundaries in your relationship. You have to
Yeah.
have boundaries in your friendship. Don't let everybody speak into your relationship. Don't let everybody speak into what you're doing, your business ideas. That's what I'm talking about. Or whatever. Because even in my coaching, we just don't talk about relationship. We talk about where do you want to be in the 5 to 10 years from now. Let's
Yeah.
address that so we can get off of the negative what happened, because we don't sit there and just stand on the negative. We get off of what the negative have happened, and we talk about you, where you want to be. What do you want to do? You want to get married again, or you want to be in a relationship again? Okay, we just
Right.
that. But we also addressing business. We also addressing goals. We also addressing money. Why did this happen in this way or whatever? And so I break down a lot of things where I let the person actually think about what they're doing in their own personal lives to attract certain people, or
Yeah.
to sometimes put people on a pause. I had to put a lot of people on a pause when I first wrote this book. A lot of people. I lost a lot of friends during the pandemic. I did that.
Wow.
And I'm talking about 15, 25-year friendships.
Wow.
And, and it hurt me. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt me. But as I started writing, God started revealing things to me about my mindset. It was like, okay, that was a trauma bond relationship. And I don't know if most people know what a trauma bond relationship is. If y'all get on the phone and that's all y'all talking about is negative, that's a trauma bond relationship. Y'all only got one common denominator is yep,
Yeah.
yep, 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 yep. It's not about how can we improve and how can we increase our lives. It was always negative. We're talking about our men. We're talking about our boyfriends, and we're talking about negative stuff that happened to us. And that's a trauma bond relationship. I had a couple of them that had to fall off. I didn't make them fall off. I'm gonna tell you the truth. God did, because it was like you ain't gonna never let this relationship go, and these books can't come to flourish if you don't. So that's what I realized afterwards, though. It was just like, this hurts. I would love for these women to be right here by my side and see my success and all this stuff. And then God made me realize they can't.
Yeah.
No, I removed them for a reason. And you have to understand that. And just as well, those ladies' friendships had to fall off. I got new friends. And it was just like, oh, okay. That's in the same arena, because we go through, a lot of people don't understand, we go through this thing of a season. And we know that we say that saying, people in your life for a reason, season, a lifetime. But
Yeah.
we also go through seasons that, okay, God says, I removed that from you. So I don't want you bringing it back up no more. So if
Yeah.
somebody's coming to me for their coaching and they want their mind transformed, I'm going to ask, who are your friends? Who are your family members? Who around you are encouraging you? Who around you are pouring into you? What are you doing on your daily life and your daily schedule to encourage yourself? Because it doesn't matter if nobody encourages you at all. You got to believe in yourself. I tell people this all the time. I can tell you, you are a great man. I can tell you, you are the master of this world. If you don't believe it, it don't matter what I say.
That's the truth.
So I deal with, when I talk about the mindset and transforming your mind, I deal with what you're thinking about right now about yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because those questions that you brought up, who are your friends, like, are because you have to be around people that's pouring into you, as well. So those questions that you ask, those are very good questions. I think that a lot of people don't ask themselves.
They don't.
So for you to ask them that, that really does put them, a lot of things into perspective for them that they probably never thought about before.
Even
Because
if even if our family members, we have toxic family
yeah,
members that we
yeah,
don't realize, or we realize it, but we like, that's family. Yeah, they
yeah,
family. That's what they're gonna be. They always gonna be family.
yeah,
But right now, they can't be in your life. Or right
yeah,
now, they got to be on a pause. I paused a lot of family members. I
yeah,
did, because I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear the negative Nancy's. I didn't want to hear the drama. I was going through somewhere I had to heal. And if I had to heal, I couldn't bring all that with me. It's just
yeah,
unwanted baggage. And so a lot of times we don't want to deal with, we got to put the family members on pause too sometimes, because they're
yeah,
family. I did it with my own mom. It's just like I had to, when I realized it was either gonna be my mama or this book, and God was talking to me, because I was just like, I ain't writing it. I ain't finishing it. I
Right.
was. That's
yeah.
exactly how I was at. And I put my mother on pause for 3 months.
Yeah, you have to protect your peace.
You do.
You have to
There you
protect
go.
your peace at all costs. If it's a mother or a family member or even a job, you have to let that stuff go, because no matter what, God is going to make a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, come
He's
on.
going to make a way. So you can't just hold on to that. If it's causing you, stress and it's not bringing you happiness, then you have to cut the cord and let it go.
Even spouses. Sometimes
Yeah.
we don't want to talk about the spouses, but it's the spouses too.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
any
only,
type of relationship.
you only do what God allows you to do. Because not telling people to divorce their spouses. What I'm telling people is, you reconfigure that relationship and you go back. And if you have a spouse that's like that, you go back and say, okay, so this is the time where I need. Because me and my husband at that time was really getting into it. And it was just like, okay, I can't be getting into it with my mama, and I'm getting into it with you.
Right.
This is just too much. I need you to be my support right now.
Yes.
We can't be getting into it. We can't do that. So
Right.
sometimes you have to reconfigure the relationships that you
Yeah.
married in, and really talk about it and be like, okay, so either you here for me or you not. I don't need this right now. And so,
Right.
you know, those are the hard conversations. That's the hardest thing about my coaching. I found with my clients, some of my clients, they like, when we get to that part, they like, I gotta let people go.
Yeah, because you really got to look in the mirror. Like, you got
But
to
do you
look at
exactly?
yourself.
Or do you really want
Mhm.
this healing? How about that?
Yeah.
Are you gonna really do the work? If you
Yeah.
know that's a hindrance to you, are you gonna do the work?
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
only way you can really get unstuck. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
the truth.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you started your podcast off with a word of the year. And I really like that.
Yes.
So how
Yeah.
did you come up with the word of the year?
Honestly, I came up with the word of the year from God. Honestly, it was when God told me to do the podcast back in December.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I gotta do a podcast now. I'm just doing all this stuff. Like, God, really, I'm doing a podcast now. I got a lot on my plate already. And he's like, yes, and it's elevation. And it literally clicked to me. And I woke up, and I woke my husband up like, and like that. And I was like, and he waking up, and I was like, I got something to tell you. And he's like, what? God just spoke to me, and I'm supposed to do a podcast, and I'm sitting up in the bed just happy. And he basically told me during that time that it's time to bring other people in on your platform and tell their stories.
Yeah.
And that, because what I talk about literally in my first book, at the end, I talk about this story is not just for you, it's somebody for you to tell your story to somebody else. Now you go
Yeah.
tell your story.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's basically a plethora of me helping other people and people helping other people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's called life transformation. Well, that's basically what it is. Me and other people like you, and bringing on platforms and saying, now it's time to tell your story, but bring other people on to tell theirs.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what this world is about. It's about us helping other people. It's not about
Yeah.
us. I
Right.
can sell
Serving
as
others.
many books as I want to sell. If they ain't helping nobody, what's the point?
Yes,
You get
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that.
Yeah.
If it's not bringing transformation and enlightenment to other people, then what's the point?
Right.
I'm
Right.
not on this earth, and I believe God didn't place none of us on this earth for ourselves. We placed ourselves on this earth for other people. And everything
Mm-hmm.
that we go through, and every trial and every testimony that we go through, that when we think is a trial, it turns out to be a testimony.
Yeah.
It's for other people. Because
Yeah.
it's always someone that's going through worse than what you're going through, or someone that be like, I went through that and I didn't think I was going to get out of it. Or talking to
Right.
you, or reading your book, or, oh my God, my mindset just changed. I deal with a lot of women that went through more traumatic experiences than I do. And sometimes my heart just hurts when I
Mm-hmm.
hear their stories, and they message me on Instagram, and I be like, oh Lord, and of
Mm-hmm.
course Reba has to step in, but then coach got to step in. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Reba saw
Yeah.
for Reba said, okay, I feel for them because of the empathy that I have.
Yeah.
But Coach
Yeah.
Reba got to step in and say, okay, how do we process this? How
Right.
do we get past this? So
Yeah. So what are some things that you offer with one-on-one coaching? Like what can they look forward to? Do you all meet like every week, or do you give them
it's a 10 week
assignments to
process.
do? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's a 10 week coaching program, and pretty much we meet every week, and it's virtual, and we get online, and you meet me like I'm talking to you guys right now, and we address each and every area. But before we even do the 10 week coaching program, there is a questionnaire that you have to I have to fill out, because everyone, not to say it in a bad way, is not coachable. Everyone is not there yet to get coached. So, like we was talking about therapy, you may need more a little extensive more therapy before you get coached by me.
Mm.
A lot of people, when I first started doing lives with the first book, I talked about forgiveness a lot. A lot. That's a big thing for me. You
Yes.
can't forgive, and you got to be honest with yourself when we start coaching. I might not be the coach for you.
Mm.
Because I can't get past a point if you can't forgive.
Right.
And the first chapter of my book is forgiving yourself.
Mm.
So a lot of people don't think about they need to forgive themselves. Okay, you want me to forgive my abuser? Yes, I do. Because Jesus
Yeah.
forgave you every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I want you to forgive yourself. A lot of times we think our stumbling blocks is other people, and it's us. It's us stopping us. I don't want to because I can't because. And
Right.
when you start having those negatives, that's when I have to really dig deep in. Did you really forgive yourself? How are we processing you forgiving yourself? And we
Yeah.
take the 10 weeks, and it's pretty much it goes through the first book. So each lesson is each chapter, because it's 10
Mm.
chapters.
Yeah.
Um, and each lesson is basically what I did personally, but then I give you different things that you can do during that week. I give you different activities you can do.
Mm.
One of my
Okay.
activities that I have people doing is writing a forgiveness letter. I had to write a forgiveness letter to my mom. She still
Mm.
never received it, but it
Wow.
helped me. And this is before I even got into therapy. I had to forgive my mom for everything that I felt that I didn't forgive her for.
Mm.
And I kept it, and I still have it. Um, One of my processes that I do is people journaling a lot,
Yeah.
to get those expressions and those feelings out, because yeah, you have those deep thoughts or whatever, but you may not even know what is going on in your head until you start really addressing it.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I do coach on, and I help people with before we even start, to where
Yeah.
they're at, and are you willing and able to forgive? Because if you're not going to be able to forgive, we can't go to the next step.
Right. Right. And I love the way that you described your coaching, because it really does start from you have to have a solid foundation.
Yep.
And it sounds like from your coaching, that's what you're providing, like
Mm-hmm.
that solid foundation, because forgiveness is a part of the foundation.
Yep.
Like you're going to have cracks and holes in your foundation without forgiveness.
Yep.
Yes.
So for them to be, for that to be like a requirement, or, a part of the process to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
that's building that solid foundation. So I
Yeah.
like what you said about, your
Yeah.
coaching, because you're really helping people to really see their imperfections. And I mean, nobody's perfect, but for them to just grow as a person, to be a better person, to get out of that situation
Yeah.
that has been hindering them or keeping them from flourishing. And it can even be financial. They want to get to a better financial place, or they have actual goals that they want to achieve, and they're feeling stuck. So I
Yep.
feel like your coaching, it does really tackle a lot of those things that, can keep people from growing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because most of the time it's in our mind. Everything is in our
Yeah,
mind,
everything is
and it
in, yeah.
starts there. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
really thinks about that, but it starts in our
Yeah,
mind,
it
and
sure
it starts
does.
with you. So if your
Yeah,
mindset is not right, how can I coach you?
yeah,
Because it doesn't matter what I tell you to do or ask you to
right.
do in the coaching program. If your mindset not right and you don't want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing that's going to change. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We're doing this for transformation. That's why I call me the breakthrough coach, because at the end of the 10 weeks, you have a breakthrough. You have
Mm.
a aha moment, if you want to
Mm.
call it something that you may never knew about yourself.
Yeah.
You do that through the process, but you have aha moments each and every week, and it may come at the end, it may come at the beginning, or it may come at the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But the whole process is for you to have this breakthrough and say, okay, I want to be better. And
Yeah.
at the end, I encourage everybody, rather, like I said before, go tell your story some way, somehow. It don't
Mm.
matter
Mm.
what it is. You don't have to be on a podcast. Help somebody. Be a
Yeah.
servant to somebody.
Yeah.
Serve somebody.
Yeah.
Even when you're going through something. And I found that helped me a lot. When I stopped focusing on, oh guys, this happening, that happening, I
Yeah.
just be like, okay, what can I do to help somebody else? Because it's
Right.
always somebody that's going through something worse than you.
Yeah. That's true.
Yes.
That
So
is true.
That's powerful. And you know what I really like too, what you said when you said that I might not be the coach for you. That shows that you're being true and
Yeah.
authentic,
Mm-hmm.
because you could be just out here taking individuals' money,
Right.
and you know that they're not going to get the healing that they really need.
Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm.
I like that you're being transparent and say, hey, you're going to need more healing before we can start. So
Yeah.
that's why I really feel like you're truly getting blessed, because you're really in it, not just for the money
Right.
aspect, but you're really in it like heartfelt, because you
Yeah.
really want to help individuals. And I love that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I
It's
really
it's
love
only
that.
it's only God. I can honestly affirm it to God, really, because he downloads things in me, and it's like, okay, what you want me to do now with that, God?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I can honestly say, if it wasn't for the help that I got from people during the years, and me taking the chances on myself, and me listening, because you got to take a chance on yourself. Anytime you sign up for anybody's coaching program
Yeah.
or life coaching or whatever you want to call it, you're
Mm-hmm.
taking a chance on yourself. You're taking an investment. It's an investment. You're taking an
Yeah.
investment on yourself. Anytime you
Yeah.
invest anything, it's gonna be work. It's
Mm-hmm.
work you gotta do, because we gotta dig deep and why you at this place you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And then you also have a Facebook group as well. You want
I
to talk a
do.
little bit about that?
Okay, so yes, my Facebook group is for anybody that it's called Domestic Survivors Only.
Mm.
And it's for anybody that has experienced domestic violence, abuse, emotional, mental, like I said before. And pretty much what we do is I go in there and I chime in there a lot or whatever. I know a lot of my supporters that is in the group. I know a lot of women to tell me they're not comfortable yet. So we're still building it up of a community that we all in this together. So I
Mm.
don't want no one in the group community to feel left out or feeling like this is only happening to me. And
Mhm.
what I do as the the liaison of the group, I just pretty much every day put encouraging words or empowering things or asking questions or whatever. Even if they don't never answer the questions on there, what I do is I'm giving you something to think about. And so, like all this week, I've been doing like Love Week or whatever, because of course, this is a lot of times that even if you're in a relationship and you've been abused, or you're not with your spouse or your abuser, whatever, you it's hard. This week it may be hard for people because of Valentine's Day or
Yeah.
whatever. So what I did was I put a lot of things all week about loving on yourself. Look, things how you can love on yourself, what you're doing to love on yourself, or I ask a question, and even if they don't answer the questions or whatever, it's something to think about. What are
Yeah.
you doing to love on yourself? Because, like I said before, loving you is number one. And if you don't love you, then you can't love nobody else or allow anyone else to love you in the correct way.
Right.
I love, girl, that's a whole word. You preaching today, Reba. I'm
Thank
telling you,
you.
girl, you is preaching today, because I feel like everything like you're saying, like I was that person before. And just like listening to our conversation, I see how much I have really changed as a person, and how much I really love and appreciate myself. Because I used to be that person, like it's a Rick Ross record, it's God forgives, I don't. That was me. That was my slogan. Okay.
I'm there with you. That was me too.
Yeah.
What?
Right. Like, please. That was on them. But you know what? It's more about for yourself. You gotta forgive them for your own personal healing.
Right. Yes, for you.
Yes.
Yes,
I love
because you're
that.
not hurting nobody but yourself if you don't forgive them. Because you let
Yeah.
what I talk about too is you giving them power. Take your power back. It's one of my
Yes.
things in my book. Take your power back. You giving
Yes.
them so much power. They walking around with a free will, doing whatever they doing in
Right.
life, and you are holding them hostage in your head for what? They
Mm-hmm.
living their life. If you want to
Yeah.
go live yours and be happy and move
Right.
on,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
so
Yes.
take your
Yeah.
power back.
Yes. So what I want to know is, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Like with everything, your book, your podcast, your coaching, everything, stuff I'm not even saying right now that you may have on your
Yes,
mind. Where
yes,
are
yes.
you in 5 years?
5 years. I want to honestly be. I want to. Okay, I'm 38 now. I really want to retire by 45. But in 5 years, within that time, I want to really be traveling the world and speaking on people platforms about my story and helping other women and men about domestic violence. Also through spiritual guidance. So I really just want to be traveling the world and speaking, being a
Yeah.
guest speaker on people platforms, mostly churches, I would say, but I'm open to anything. The reason why I say mostly churches because domestic violence is so silent in the church, and that we don't realize it and don't think about it and don't deal with it in the church. We just rub it, sweep it under the rug. And
Yeah.
so, by me talking about it more and getting it out there more in the church realm, we can all heal one at a time. And so that's what I really want to do in the next 5 years. I have two more books coming out this year, but
Oh wow.
uh, um, a story is always going to be a story. You know what I'm saying? For me. So me as an author, content is always going to be a story where I create that whatever I'm learning, I got to put that in a book. I've learned that
Yeah.
now. You know what I'm saying? To help someone else. So I might be writing to the dad. That's
Okay.
but that's what I really want to do. I really want to be speaking and having speaking engagements and speaking on people platforms like I'm doing now, and traveling and telling people about how to heal.
Yeah.
And through your mindset, not just with domestic violence, but how to heal also through your mindset. And how to change your life through your mindset. And so how we're going to address dealing with things, like I said, from your childhood to your adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's
you
my
definitely have that gift. You
thank
definitely
you.
have that gift to inspire other people and support people through their journey. Like you definitely have that gift. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
only
agree.
God, but thank you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
okay. You
No.
got another question? Okay. So Reba, can you let our listeners know like where they can reach you if they want to sign up to your coaching or your Instagram page?
So everything is in my coaching and my Instagram page. You can sign up for RebaBell.com. Everything is there. But if you are following me on Instagram, I am the Breakthrough Coach, the _ Reba Arve. And if you follow me on Facebook, from my Facebook page, everything is in my link tree. So when you go on my Instagram, you'll follow everything. But the easiest way to follow me and to buy the books is RebaBell.com.
Okay, and what's the name of the books again? Oh, sorry.
And you got A Blessing in Disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have From Ashes to Beauty.
Okay.
Yes, sounds good. And also your podcast too. How can they find your podcast?
You can find my podcast on YouTube. It's the Breakthrough Podcast. And you can also find me on Spotify as the Breakthrough Podcast. So I'm on both.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Thank you so much, Reba. We really enjoyed you coming on the show.
Yes, I enjoyed you guys. Thank you so much for this. I mean, I'm excited because, of course, I know Nikki. Nikki know my first business. Yes. So I love it. I'm so happy. I'm just so proud of you guys that you're doing something that I aspire to do and help people, and we're basically doing it together. You're inspiring me to keep going and while I'm doing this or whatever. Yes. So I just thank you guys for doing this. For real.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
We got to keep inspiring each other. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So
we got this.
Yes. And we're going to have you back on here once those books drop.
Okay.
Yes. No problem. No problem. I keep in contact with you guys too.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay. So we want to thank Ms. Reba Bell for being our guest today.
Yes.
We had so much fun and we look forward to reconnecting with her again.
Yes.
So today's takeaway, I feel like it's so fitting for what's going on in the world today. And that is, be yourself, everyone else is taken.
Okay.
And that's by Oscar Wilde.
Yes, that's so true. Be yourself.
Yeah, be your real, true, authentic self.
Right, as Jamie Lee Curtis would say.
Yes. Shout out to Jamie. Yes.
Yeah, so we want to close out today's episode with a few little tidbits, as Nicole would say. So make sure that you all have subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki podcast. Go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And then also, when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you do get access to our podcast episodes 2 days sooner than on other podcast platforms. You will also have the opportunity to view bonus content and videos. So stay tuned for that. Also follow us on TikTok at Sheeta and Nikki.
Yes.
And then follow us on Instagram at Real Conversations 21. And if you want to be featured on our upcoming episodes, please email us or contact us on Instagram, which is Real Conversations 21, or email us at realconversations21@gmail.com.
Yes. And make sure that you also click the link in our bio to learn how you can become a subscriber to our podcast.
Yes.
Yes. So thanks so much for watching, guys.
Peace. Check up on it. I'ma let you